Did you know that many Africans who were kidnapped and brought to the Americas as enslaved people were highly educated men and women? Omar ibn Said was one of many who fell into this path. In July 1825, a Philadelphia journal, The Christian Advocate, published a short biographical sketch of Prince Moro by an unnamed physician at Fayetteville in North Carolina. The piece describes a remarkable runaway enslaved man who, after being captured and jailed in Fayetteville, wrote in a masterly hand, writing from right to left, in what was to local observers an unknown language. The unknown language was Arabic, and the remarkable runaway was Omar ibn Said, an African Muslim who had studied arithmetic, business, and theology before he was enslaved, shipped across the Atlantic, and sold in Charleston, South Carolina, at age 37. Omar ibn Said, also referred to as Omaro, Umaro, Mero, Moro, Morro, Moreau, Moreau, and Monroe, was born around 1770 in an African region then called Fouta Toro, near the Senegal River, which now forms Senegal's northern border with Mauritania. He was a member of the Fula ethnic group of West Africa, who today number over 40 million people in the region extending from Senegal to Nigeria. His father, who was a wealthy man, was killed in an intertribal war when he was 5, and Said and his family had to move away to another town. In 1831, Said composed his autobiography in Arabic. He writes that as he grew older, he sought knowledge in Bundu, an area in Senegal today that had historically been controlled by another ethnic group, the Mande people, until the Muslim Fulas conquered the region in the second half of the 17th century. Said writes that in Bundu, he studied under his own brother Sheikh Muhammad Said, as well as 2 other religious leaders, and continued seeking knowledge for 25 years. He then returned to his own town and lived there for another 6 years, until, according to him, a big army came that killed many people, captured him and sold him to a man who took him to the big ship in the big sea. After sailing for a month, he arrived in Charleston, South Carolina, where he was bought by a man called Johnson, who apparently was cruel to him. So, he escaped, was captured, and landed in jail in Fayetteville, North Carolina, where he spent 16 days. That is where he began writing in Arabic on the walls of his jail, and where he was discovered and eventually taken into the household of Jim Owen and his brother John Owen, the governor of North Carolina, with whom he remained until his death in his late 80s. Before his death, Said converted to Christianity. His collection was put together by Theodore Dwight, an abolitionist and founding member of the American Ethnological Society in the early 1860s. Dwight was interested in Islamic and West African culture and wished to disseminate these texts in America in order to promote a better understanding of the people and culture of that region. In order to do so, Dwight commissioned translations of the Arabic texts, engaging some of the top American scholars in Arabic to do the work. It is these attempts at translations, discussions about the translations, discussions about the importance of the original work between various parties, which constitutes a part of the documents included in the collection. The manuscript was translated and published in the American Historical Review. Why is this autobiography important? Well, let's dive a little deeper. First, Said's autobiography is the only known extant autobiography of an enslaved person written in Arabic in America. The importance of this lies in the fact that such a biography was not edited by Said's enslaver, as those of other enslaved people written in English were, and is therefore surmised to be more authentic. Secondly, it is an important document that attests to the high level of education and the long tradition of a written culture that existed in the great continent of Africa at the time. It also reveals that many Africans who were brought to the United States as enslaved people were followers of Islam, an Abrahamic and monotheistic faith. Such documentation counteracts prior assumptions of African life and culture. Thirdly, it is deeply important, not just as a rare first-hand account of the transatlantic slave experience, but also as a vital counter-narrative to the long-standing erasure of African intellectual, religious, and cultural contributions to the Americas. This account by Said powerfully refutes stereotypes that enslaved Africans came from uncivilized or illiterate societies. Lastly, although it is a very well-known collection, It appears to have moved from owner to owner, and even to have disappeared for almost half a century before having been rediscovered by the last private owner, Derek J. Beard. He was a well-known collector of African American memorabilia and wanted to have this collection at the Library of Congress and make it available to researchers worldwide. This collection is a tremendous tool for research on Africa in the 18th and 19th century and will shed light on the complex history of American slavery. In July 2013, 182 years after he first recorded his story, documenting the American South commemorates the life of Omar ibn Said and other enslaved African Muslims. If you want to continue learning some great history and don't want to miss our videos, please subscribe to our channel.